Well, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I bet some folks out there woke up to a little something extra special this morning.
Yeah, flowers and chocolates. You know the drill.
But not everyone had such a romantic start to their day, especially one truck driver who had a bit of a fiery situation on his hands.
Oh, that's right. We're diving into that Truckers News article today about a near miss. And yeah, it could have been a real Valentine's Day disaster.
Absolutely. It really makes you think about the risks these drivers face every day.
Yeah, and the pressures. You know, truck
Hmm.
drivers, they're always pushing to meet those deadlines. Sometimes maybe pushing a little too hard.
It's true. In this case, it happened in East Manchester Township, Pennsylvania. Pretty early in the morning, too.
Like middle of the night early. 2:15 a.m. on February 13th, if I remember correctly.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
And this driver, he was parked at a loading dock, just settling in for the night, I imagine.
Getting some much needed rest. I mean, these guys are constantly on the go.
Exactly. And this particular loading dock, it was at the UNFI Corporation on Locust Point Road.
Okay, yeah, near Harrisburg, right. That's a major trucking route. I bet a lot of our listeners are familiar with that area.
Oh, for sure. A lot of traffic going through there. So anyway, picture this. It's dark, quiet, everything's still, and then boom, flames start shooting out from the engine compartment of this truck.
Whoa, scary. Just a sudden burst of fire.
Thankfully, there were some people nearby who saw what was happening.
Real quick thinking on their part, they didn't just stand there and gawk.
Not at all. They ran over and started banging on the truck, trying to wake the driver up.
Man, those bystanders are the real heroes here. No doubt about it. They probably saved this guy's life.
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
mean, can you imagine? You're sound asleep, completely unaware, and suddenly your truck's on fire.
It sends chills down your spine, you know? It really does.
It does. Makes you appreciate the little things like people looking out for each other, and makes you wonder, what if no one had been around to notice the fire?
That's a scary thought. Luckily, things turned out okay. No injuries, which is amazing considering.
Seriously.
Yeah.
A real stroke of luck for this driver. But it does raise some questions about how to prevent these situations in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, what could have been done differently?
Yeah, that's where the Truckers News article comes in. They really emphasize the importance of regular engine maintenance.
Right, like those routine checks that sometimes we put off.
Exactly. I'm talking checking the wiring, making sure all those hoses are in tip-top shape, looking for leaks, all that stuff we might think is no big deal. It can actually be huge.
No kidding. It's a good reminder for all of us, not just truck drivers. Take care of your vehicle, and it'll take care of you. But getting back to this specific incident, it's a relief that the driver got out okay. It could have been a much different story.
Definitely. But it also got me thinking about a bigger issue that truckers face: driver fatigue.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to bring that up. The article didn't explicitly mention it, but it's definitely a factor to consider.
Absolutely. Those long hours on the road, those tight delivery windows, all that pressure can really wear a person down.
No doubt about it. Makes you more prone to making mistakes, reacting slower. I think about how many times have you driven when you were maybe a little too tired?
Oh, I've been there. We all have. And this story, it's a wake-up call. It makes you realize just how dangerous those drowsy driving moments can be.
Seriously. So what can we do about it? How do we make sure these drivers are getting enough rest to stay safe out there on the road?
Well, for starters, I think it has to start with the industry itself. We
Hmm.
got to prioritize safety over, speed and tight deadlines, give these drivers realistic schedules, make sure they have time to rest, provide resources that support their well-being,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And as drivers, we have to be honest with ourselves too.
Know our limits.
Limits, right? And speak up if we need a break.
Absolutely. Got to advocate for ourselves. Speaking of advocating, this whole story really shows how important it is for everyone to be aware. Like those bystanders, they saw something wrong and they did something about it.
Right. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. What would you do if you saw a truck on fire in the middle of the night?
Tough to say, really. It's one of those things you can't truly know how you'd react until you're in that moment. All that adrenaline, the urgency, but they didn't hesitate. They just jumped into action, that instinct to help. It's something we could all use a little more of.
I'm with you on that. It reminds us that even in these scary, unpredictable situations, we're all in this together. Sometimes the smallest actions, like a knock on the door, can make a world of difference.
Couldn't agree more. And hey, maybe this story will spark some innovation too. Who knows? Maybe we'll see smarter fire detection systems in trucks, or maybe even tech that can alert other drivers or emergency services right away.
That's a great point. It's a reminder that even in these tough situations, there's always room for improvement, and that those improvements can come from anywhere, even from a few brave bystanders on a cold February night.
Exactly.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Stay safe out there, everyone, and have a happy Valentine's Day.
And don't forget, if you see something, say something. You never know whose life you might save.
Words to live by.